Ivovan, a warm welcome to the honorable government and business representatives from Sri Lanka, our most cherished small farmers representative, and all the participants from across the world who have logged on to this virtual launch of the book, Myths and Truths of Oil Palm. Let me start by thanking the scientists from Sri Lanka's top 4 universities, along with the Indian Institute of Oil Palm Research, the Indonesian Oil Palm Research Institute, and the Malaysian University Technology MARA, who have come together for the first time, along with the chief editor of the book, Professor Maya Singeland from the Wageningen University of the Netherlands, to create this unique multi-country research on palm oil. Solidaridad is very pleased to facilitate this process. Now, let me share a bit about my organization, Solidaridad. It is the world's oldest sustainability support organization, founded in the Netherlands in the year 1969. Today, with around 1,000 staff, we work in over 50 countries worldwide to create fair and sustainable supply chains. In Asia, we are active in almost all major countries with 30 offices supporting more than 1 million smallholder farmers each year. Now, let me get back to the myths and truths of the palm oil, the title of the book and the subject of our discussion today. I believe that the emotions have strongly dominated the debate on palm oil. Many anti-palm oil campaigns have encouraged a binary thinking in which companies, consumers, and even governments are faced with only 2 options: to use or to ban palm oil. Now, you could fill up a library with the research work against palm oil without any scientific rigor. Also, there are very few efforts to conduct research on palm oil's sustainability from an interdisciplinary perspective. Unfortunately, like elsewhere in the world, the palm oil sector in Sri Lanka is also a victim of a concerted campaign by different anti-palm oil lobbies and radical activists. Now, do you know what amazes me? From my own experience of over 2 decades, I can vouch that there is hardly any inherently sustainable crop. At the same time, with a bit of help, farmers can produce all crops that are environmentally and socially sustainable. So my humble opinion is we should stop the condemnation of palm oil while adulating other edible oils when we know that palm oil is Asia's power to solve poverty and ensure nutrition security for billions of Asians. And cultivation of oil palm can be easily provide 5 times as much vegetable oil per hectare compared to an alternative vegetable oils that can spare land for agriculture. In Sri Lanka, oil palm production is now banned. Now, okay, that is understood. But what does the oil palm plantations are replaced with? There are rubber or coconut. Are we trying to say these crops are inherently sustainable? If you go through the book Myths and Truths of Palm Oil, the differences in biodiversity between oil palm, rubber, tea, and coconut are neither significant or conclusive. Palm oil sequesters more carbon per hectare than coconut and tea, but a little less than rubber. Now, what about fertilizer use and water use by palm oil? As per several scientific studies conducted by Sri Lankan scientists, per liter of palm oil requires lesser fertilizers and less water than coconut, dry rubber, or tea. So I would like to assure the concerned organizations that in Sri Lanka, oil palm will never deplete water resources. It is cultivated in areas where there is adequate rainfall, and there are several such areas in Sri Lanka. And moreover, palm oil mainly uses rainwater. So there are hardly any evidence across the world that palm oil plantations, water use is leading to groundwater depletion. So the Sri Lankan government policy, now if we look at of palm oil import, was a prudent one because that helped to manage the immediate crisis faced by the local food and confectionery industry. However, it is difficult to understand is the decision of the Sri Lankan government to persist with the ban on oil palm production. The decision becomes even more perplexing considering the rapid dwindling of foreign reserves of Sri Lanka with many import substitution strategies which are in place today. But you know what? Oil palm can emerge as a strategic commodity for Sri Lanka. Over the last decade, edible oil consumption has grown at a compounded annual growth rate of 3%, and at present, local consumption is around 264,000 metric ton, from which not more than 20-25% is produced locally. Expanding in coconut to fulfill the shortage from 40,000 metric ton or roughly around that, which is available today, is neither economically viable nor technically feasible. So there is clearly a potential for expanding oil palm production, more so when less than 1% of the total agriculture land in the country is under oil palm cultivation today. Such a policy could not only assist in creating self-sufficiency, but also it can create a kind of a strategic product that directly impacts the food security of the country and assist it in invigorating the rural economy of Sri Lanka. And indeed, oil palm has worked like a miracle in eradicating rural poverty in Indonesia and Malaysia. We will hear about its amazing role from the big leaders from the countries who are available today in the panel. But from our own experience, we have seen, even in Africa, like in Ghana, we have seen massive income growth for the farmers through palm oil, oil palm cultivation. As per a recent assessment by a world-reputed consultancy firm, even in Sri Lanka, the profitability of a oil palm farmer would be around 6 lakh Sri Lankan rupees per hectare per year. Now you can do the calculation for with any other crop in the country per hectare per year, how much a smallholder farmer will earn per year. Obviously, it will be much lesser than 6 lakh Sri Lankan rupees per year, which is a conservative estimate. Currently, the Sri Lankan palm oil sector has only minor smallholder participation, which is really surprising. So how can Sri Lanka create an oil palm ecosystem where smallholders and large plantations could coexist? 3 critical things would be needed for such a transition to happen. Firstly, the ban on oil palm production needs a reconsideration. Such a ban creates foreign exchange losses for Sri Lanka, while the massive taxes paid by the palm oil importing companies are essentially passed on to the Sri Lankan consumers. The time has come not to deny the Sri Lankan farmers the benefit from the most profitable plantation crop on earth and allow the Sri Lankan consumers to buy reasonably priced, locally produced, sustainable palm oil. Now, second one, I believe, is the Sri Lankan government may consider setting up a palm oil mission, very similar to something like what is happening in India right now, with a vision of producing around 300,000 metric ton of palm oil in the country. A special purpose fund could be created for that purpose, with a focus on supporting smallholder farmers in the country to cultivate palm oil. Thirdly, and lastly, I think Sri Lanka may devise its sustainability framework for producing oil palm. The world's biggest producers like Indonesia and Malaysia have decided to create their own national sustainability frameworks. Indonesian Sustainable Palm Oil ISPO and Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil MSPO, these are quite well-known national sustainability frameworks of Indonesia and Malaysia. India has also developed its own national sustainability framework in the form of Indian Palm Oil Sustainability Framework. Most oil palm producers are certified by external auditor against these standards, assuring that the oil palm is produced in a socially and environmentally sustainable way. That will give the guarantee that, palm oil, a third-party guarantee that the palm oil is produced in a sustainable way. Now, Sri Lanka may also choose to certify its oil palm producers under one of the voluntary certification standards like Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, RSPO, or Rainforest Alliance or Fair Trade. We hope the conclusions arrived together by experts from across the world in this book may help create a balanced perspective on palm oil. I also hope that the university scholars and scientists in Sri Lanka will take up further research to disentangle hard facts from the myth and full truths from half lies. I sincerely believe if the government, industry, and the NGOs join hands to give palm oil a chance in Sri Lanka, it can create an even more significant socio-economic impact than the crops like tea, coconut, and rubber have produced so far. Thank you. Thank you for listening.